Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan from the Hyperpigmentation Clinic. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of color. You can follow me on Instagram at the Hyperpigmentation Clinic and Skincare by Dr. V, and on TikTok as Dr. Vanita Rattan. Right, so today's video is quite important. The reason being that retinol or vitamin A really is going to be the star ingredient for the majority of us when it comes to anti-aging or pigmentation. Now, it can be quite an irritating ingredient, and we do need to be careful what we mix it with. The reason being that for us, we can't afford to have any form of irritation on our skin. As I always say, one scratch, one bite, one burn, and we hyperpigment. So I hope today's video is going to be very helpful to you. If that sounds good, please give me a thumbs up. Let's dive right in. So how does retinol work? Retinol works by increasing cell turnover. Some people get confused and think that retinol is an exfoliant. It isn't. If you're getting flaking from it, it's because potentially you're wearing too much and it's causing irritation to you. So you don't really want that flaking. What it does do, however, is it can really dry the skin. The reason we use it is by increasing cell turnover. Those delicious fat, juicy skin cells from the basal layer make their way to the surface faster, and it helps with pigmentation because there's less time for pigment to go from the melanocyte, which produces the melanin, to the surrounding skin cells before it comes to the surface. It also helps with wrinkles because, again, we're getting nice, delicious, juicy, plump cells coming to the surface faster, which means that we're not getting compaction of dead, dry, thin, old, aging skin cells at the top, which is what leads to dull skin and dry skin and wrinkles. So it has many benefits, and it really is the hero product, as a hero ingredient. The problem is with us, you know, a hero ingredient can quickly become the villain ingredient if we are not careful with it and we don't know exactly what we're doing with it. So retinol can be very irritating. What I tend to say is try and stick with 0.5%. I don't really want you wearing more than that, because at 1%, a lot of you are going to experience irritation, which I do not want. A lot of you will be fine, but for me, as you already know, I'm always aiming for 0% reaction in skin of color. So try and stick with 0.5%. The other thing is it can be very drying to the skin because of that rapid cell turnover. And so that, with that, what you want to have incorporate into your skincare are humectants. You want hyaluronic acid. You want to be using moisturizers like ceramides. You also want occlusives to prevent any transepidermal water loss, also known as water evaporation from the skin. So that's also very important when it comes to your moisturizer. Also, because it can be irritating, it might be a good idea to also include anti-inflammatories into your skincare routine, just to negate any irritation. The other important step, very important step, is your SPF 50, because you need to protect those young, juicy skin cells from environmental assault. Predominantly UV pollution. These things are not good for our skin. It ages the skin, which is the exact opposite of what we're trying to do when you're putting retinol on the skin. I'd also say make sure you wear your retinol at nighttime, your vitamin A at nighttime. I never want you wearing anything that's going to irritate the skin or give you a low pH during the day, or anything that's UV unstable during the day. Specifically for skin of color, this is something we need to be aware of, and I don't think it's something we discuss enough, and I am working on a video for you on the actives that I'm happy for you to wear during the day, but vitamin A definitely is something you want to save at nighttime. So Dr. V, that sounds fine, but what do I need to avoid with my retinol? So I would avoid anything that is going to irritate the skin. So let's start off with the most common one, which is ascorbic acid. Now, ascorbic acid has got a very low pH. If you've already irritated the skin with retinol and potentially also dried the skin, I then don't want you to put on an acid with a low pH. I prefer other forms of vitamin C if you're going to wear retinol. So things like tetrahexyl decaloscorbate, as you know, is my absolute favorite. The reason being that it's fat soluble, penetrates into the dermis and helps to restore collagen in the dermis. The other ones that I love are sodium ascorbate phosphate as a fantastic ingredient because then that mops up free radicals in the epidermis. So a lot of you have purchased the Dark Circles kit, which is from Skincare by Dr. V, so my website. And on here, if you look at the back of the Inky list, you will see tetrahexyl decaloscorbate, you'll see sodium ascorbate phosphate, and you'll see retinol palmitate. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because these again work very well in combination. So retinol palmitate for around the eye area. You wouldn't wear retinol around the eye area. The eye area is only about 0.3 millimeters thick. And it's very sensitive and can become irritated. So this 0.5% retinol that I'm talking about really is for the rest of the face. I'm happy for you to use it on the body, but around the eye area, it's better to stick with retinol palmitate or encapsulated retinol or retinaldehyde. Those are the ones that I would say are safer for this area. The next combination that aren't really worth applying together is benzoyl peroxide and retinol because they tend to cancel each other out. So what I would do is with your benzoyl peroxide, I'd apply it a couple of hours before your retinol and then apply your retinol. Usually I tend to come back from work or after collecting the children from school, and by about 6 p.m. is really when I tend to do my full skincare routine because I know it gives me a couple of hours before I go to bed, or at least 4 hours before I go to bed, so that everything is being absorbed into the skin. And so if you are having an active breakout, it might be worth you applying your benzoyl peroxide, which you tend to do 2 or 3 times a day anyway. Apply it maybe at 6 o'clock and then at 8 o'clock and then at 10 o'clock you can put your retinol on. I just wouldn't do them at the same time. I would be very cautious with combining your AHA or BHA exfoliant with retinol, and I've seen a lot of formulations of these together and I do tend to ask you to steer clear of them. The reason being that imagine you've taken off the top layer of skin with an exfoliant and now you're going to put on an actively irritating ingredient, increasing cell turnover. So these fat juicy cells will come to the surface and you're whipping them off. This is too irritating for our skin. I really would not recommend this at all. So please just be very careful, because if you're getting sensitivity and you've been doing those 2 things, it's probably the error that's taking place in your routine. The other thing I really want you to be careful of is doubling up on your vitamin A. You might, for example, have an essence with retinol in it, or your serum may have retinol in it, and then you decide, okay, I'm also going to put a moisturiser on top which has got vitamin A in it too. This can really irritate our skin. There's only so much that our skin can tolerate. There's a level at which the ingredient is effective but not irritating, and so it's not more I put on to my skin the better. For us, we really do need to be a lot more careful with our skin. Some ingredients we need a lot more of, so for example diuric acid or tyrosinase inhibitors, but other ingredients we really need to take care with. So anything that tends to have a low pH or can be irritating to our skin. So if you really want to wear your exfoliant, what I would say is use your AHA BHA solution maybe twice a week, and the remaining 4 or 5 days a week apply your retinol. I just wouldn't apply them at the same time. As a rule of thumb, I would always say after you've washed your face and toned your face to put your vitamin A on first. It really is the hero ingredient and you want maximum penetration. Anything that goes on first at that point is going to be maximum penetration. After this, as you layer, you're going to get less and less ingredient penetrating into the skin. And it's actually one of the reasons I do love to formulate with multiple ingredients, because of this layering process. Every time you layer, you have less product and less ingredient penetrating into the skin. And I know for me, I formulate products just for my own face. So I created myself my anti-melasma, anti-aging cream, which I know has all the actives at high percentages that penetrate rather than me layering, and you just don't get maximum penetration. So The fundamental thing here is the first thing to go onto your skin really should be your vitamin A if you like to layer and you like to use single ingredients. Don't forget to download your free guide to skincare for skin of color. The link is down below. I'm in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video, so make sure you hit that notification bell. Thank you very much for watching, and please do follow me on Instagram and TikTok too.